You found a place to belong here in the Circle of Friends. I'm Missy, and I am with Joanne and Carol. Welcome back, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's great to have you here, and it's been a lot of fun to work on these Red principles. We haven't done that for a while, and I always love returning to them. I've done them multiple times. I'm not sure how many times, and probably some more than others, but I always find something new and fresh. It's sort of like when you read God's Word and it's a passage you've read over and over and over again, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, when did they put that in there? I didn't know that was there.
Well, and I think so often they're just good reminders. It's like these are things that I grew up with this. I mean, these principles have been around for a long time, but sometimes in life you just need to be reminded that there are things and there are ways of doing things the right way. It's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I need reminded often.
Yes, I do too.
The things I know, and yet I find myself not following the things I know.
Yesterday we studied pressure, and so when I think about being reminded here, it takes off some of the pressure of life when you are reminded that there is a way to deal with these things. There are things that we can learn and that we can apply to our lives that make life easier. And it's like, I can just hear my dad say, life wasn't meant to be hard. We make it hard by the choices that we make. And when I think about the principles, I think life wasn't meant to be hard if we can just understand the principles. If we can understand God's way of doing things. God didn't put us on earth and say, well, here, go struggle and suffer all your life. He gave us the way that is right. But we don't always look at the way that is right. We try to deal with things ourselves.
And I love the discussion part of it just because I get to learn from you guys and, whoever you're doing a roundtable with. It's like having those different perspectives just brings such peace or insight or just revelation that you're not alone. There's just so much insight that people bring, and I just love that part of it, that I get to grow and learn from, you ladies today, so that's always exciting to me.
Well, and I think that if you can understand people, which is what we're going to talk about today, if you understand people, life is a lot easier if you just take time to understand people, because a lot of times, we don't want to understand people, we just want our way. And yet, if you can understand other people and understand the kind of people that they are or how other people think and get to know them, and that's something I like about the round table, because you do get to know each other. It's like you said, it opens your mind to a new way of thinking. Here's something I didn't think about, but this person brought it up, and I can see that this applies. And so it helps you to understand the people that are sitting at your table and understand people that are in your life, because we all have people we have to deal with. Unless we're a hermit, there's people you're going to have to deal with. So
We're not hermits.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Let's get started on this leadership principle of understanding people. Proverbs 2, verse 6 says, "For the Lord grants wisdom. His every word is a treasure of knowledge and understanding." Why should I want to understand people? That's a good question. There are many reasons, but let us look at a few of the important ones. Number one, it will save us from a lot of conflicts. Number two, we will be able to lead and motivate people. And number three, it will give us a forgiving heart.
The wise man, Solomon, talked much about certain types of people: the fools, mockers, rebels, the lazy, and others. He was wise because he understood them and knew how to deal with them. He experienced great fame and success by understanding them, and they called it wisdom. If we don't understand mockers and rebels, we will have a lot of unnecessary conflicts with them and then develop a bad attitude toward them, which will in turn hurt us more than it will them. As people in business, we need to understand our employees in order to motivate them, or we will have poor production, which will put us out of business. We also need to understand our customers, what they want and why they want it. Without understanding them and their needs, we may be serving them well, but not satisfying them. Sometimes all they want is to be appreciated or recognized. Every one of us have at least 4 basic needs: to be loved and appreciated, to experience a sense of achievement or self-worth, to have a sense of belonging, and to feel secure.
We should keep these in mind whenever we deal with people, regardless of the situation. Business management consists of motivating people to service others. It's pretty hard to manage and motivate our people if we don't understand their personal needs. We need to understand their strengths and their weaknesses and place them accordingly. A good team is made up of a variety of people with a variety of gifts. The weakness in one should be covered by the strength of another. Out of the Lord's mouth comes knowledge and understanding, and if we sincerely seek Him to gain wisdom, He will give it. God says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. When we understand why people do what they do and why they are what they are, we will know how to direct them to get the proper response.
A good understanding will also give us a forgiving attitude. Jesus understood his accusers. That's why he could say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What an attitude. Forgiveness came easily because he understood their ignorance or why they did what they did. We too can forgive easily if we understand ourselves and the situation of others. Generally, people want to be nice and good, but situations and pressures of life push them past their hopes or dreams. Many times, they feel bad immediately after they've reacted. This gives us an opportunity to speak a word of wisdom to them. The time to build people is when they are down. They won't listen to us when they are up. We need to commit ourselves to the task of understanding people. God will bless and reward us with a forgiving heart and will give us peace and happiness in a world that is full of frustration and conflict.
Wow, one of my favorite things in there, and I have so often thought of this, is Jesus dying on the cross and saying, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And, he could do that because he understood them. And I think if we would just take the time to understand the people around us, we would understand more of, just like it says, why they do what they do. And I have really tried hard to remember that everybody has a story. Everybody has something that has made them who they are. And if I can learn to understand that person and why they are the way they are, I have a better chance of helping them to overcome something or to see the future in a positive light, to speak into their lives. And so learning to understand people and really, I really think it comes down to not being self-consumed, Understand other people. If you care only about yourself and you don't care about other people, you will never care about understanding other people because you just want everybody to know who you are. And so, get rid of your self, whatever you want to call it, and start looking at other people and understand who they are. And, maybe God put them in your path because you can speak life into them if you just take time to understand them. I just think, again, you don't have to be a leader for this to happen. All you have to do is be alive and care about people, care about your children, care about your neighbor.
One of the things I was thinking about as we were reading through this was that Bernie Torrance, friend of ours, has said to me before. I don't know where it originated, but he said, we want to be judged by our motives, but we judge other people by their actions. And that has helped me a lot in understanding people because it's like I want to, I want people to be like, oh, well, she has a really good heart, or, she meant well.
It's just a bad day, yeah.
Yeah. But then when others do something, you don't want to be judging, their actions. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt too. And it's not always conducive to give people the benefit of the doubt. I realize that because their actions it'll find you out if you can't be trusted or those things. But to know that in understanding people, that helped me a lot to think, well, how do I want to be understood? And then to give that to other people.
Yeah, I don't want to be known for the worst thing I ever did, or even for maybe a foolish decision or a bad moment, a bad day, or any of those things. So, I hope people give me grace, but yeah, what's the flip side of that? Are you willing to give other people grace? And, if you struggle, if you're thinking, well, how does understanding people, how does all this work? I think of one of my favorite verses, James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to them. wisdom is at our fingertips. It's at the end of our prayer to say, God, show me, give me wisdom on how to understand this person, or to know what to do, what to say, how to be helpful, how to offer grace, how do I move forward in a way that pleases and honors you. Give me that wisdom. He'll give it to you. He's promised it.
I'm looking at this in this very first or the second paragraph. It talks about Solomon, and that he understood different types of people. He understood fools, mockers, rebels, the lazy, and others. Now, when you look at that list, not too many of us ask for wisdom to understand a mocker or a rebel. But that is what made him, that's about how he became known as being wise. He understood these people, and he understood how to deal with them. And those are all the people that will trigger my buttons.
That's right. We try to avoid them.
Right.
I can't say that I have been really good at asking God, help me to understand that mocker.
Well, and here's the flip side for me that has helped me in this is, have I ever been a fool? Oh my gosh, hang my head. A mocker?
True.
Have I been a rebel? Have I ever been lazy? Are these things true of me in moments of my life? Yeah.
Probably so.
Now, I don't want to be that kind of person as a pattern of behavior. So I think that's another part of it, is to understand, is this a moment for that person? Is it a pattern of behavior? And how do you deal with that? And ultimately, Joanne, you said this, and I think this is key. How do we help them? How do we speak words of life rather than just, write that person off? Because that's, off with their heads. That's my first thing. Off with their heads. Be done with them. They're gone, Well, I don't want that for me.
Yeah.
And we really don't want that kind of an attitude as Christ followers for other people.
Well, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, if there's a rebel in my life, I one of the first things that I would say with the rebel is bite your tongue, because you can start a war really fast and you can't win. If you've got a rebel that you're dealing with, that starting a conversation or saying the wrong thing, it starts a battle. And so learning how to deal with those people and what will bring things under control. And I learned that just in my own life, that, when there's a rebel, sometimes it's better for me just to be kind and bite my tongue.
Be consistent, steadfast, and continue to love, and not. And it is a matter of whether you're going to pour water or gasoline on the fire. So, well, it's time for a break. We'll come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about understanding people and what Scripture has to say about that. Fascinating stuff. Thanks for joining us today here in the Circle of Friends.
Looking for ways to change up your living space? Stop by Village Gift Barn and view our wide selection of house and home items. Need some tips on how to pull together a room? One of our talented home decor staff will help you put together the perfect arrangement for your home. Located in the heart of Amish country on State Route 39 in Berlin. Village Gift Barn. Never ordinary, we promise.
There were places in my heart that I had never been to, roads I'd never traveled, was lost and frozen memories were chilling to the bone. Then I found grace. Yeah, I found love and a circle of friends who helped me find out who I was. Oh, I found grace. I found a home, a place to believe and become, and a place to belong. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I found grace. It was hard to find my way through life's crazy winding maze. Then I found grace. Yeah, I found love and a circle of friends who helped me find out who I was. Oh, I found grace. I found a home.
We're back. Thanks for joining us today here in the Circle of Friends. We're looking at the Lared principle of leadership principle of understanding people. And if you're interested in these principles, go to lared.org, lared.org. You can download these for free. You can have a look at them yourself and begin your own roundtable, because lots of wonderful things happen when you join others in looking at the Word of God. Joanne, right before the break, you talked about this one paragraph in here that says the wise man Solomon talked about certain types of people: the fools, the mockers, the rebels, the lazy, and others. And I love this. I love that you've pointed out that God has already been teaching you through your own life experience how to respond to a fool. Or I'm sorry, not a fool.
A rebel.
A rebel. You don't want to increase the tension there, because it'll start. It'll truly start a fire. So maybe stepping back, keeping quiet, being consistent, listening, those kinds of things, and allowing the Lord's Spirit to kind of do the work. What about some of these others? Do you have some practical steps for people as they are dealing with those type of people in their life? And again, to be fair, have I ever been a fool? Yeah, a mocker, a rebel, the lazy. This is a person who exhibits that pattern of behavior over and over again.
Well, I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, all of these things are hard. None of this is easy. And I want to first go back to that scripture in James that says that ask for wisdom.
Yeah.
Because God will give it to you. Because it takes wisdom to be able to understand and deal with these kinds of people. And there are these kinds of people around us all the time. Now, they may not always be this way. Like you said, every one of us has probably been walking in some of these shoes. And so understanding that, what makes a person, and why would a person become a mocker? What would be the reason that a person would become a mocker? And again, remembering everybody has a story. There's something behind that. There's something that has caused that person to be that way. And, how do you understand that person so that you can actually help control? And again, my experience has been more with the rebel. And so that is a very easy one for me. As far as a mocker, I'm trying to think in my own life how I would have dealt with a mocker. And I struggled to come up with a really good, and maybe it's the world I live in. But if you watch TV and you watch the news, you'll see a lot of mockers.
Yes.
I mean, they're out there. And how do you deal with people like that? Again, I think so much of it has to do with your speech.
I was going to say, a lot of it is our own demeanor, because, and the thing is, sometimes just staying in the conversation without losing your cool
I
speaks
think,
huge. Speaks huge words. And for me, a lot of times it's if I can stay in the conversation and listen, really follow the Spirit's leading on when to speak, and it's mostly not speaking a lot of times. But I want my words to count and to be weighty in the sense that I want them to hear what I'm going to say. And if you're reactive, and we talked about that yesterday, but if you're reactive to what they're saying, they're not going to listen to you. You know what I mean? They're just going to continue to.
I just had a thought of something. I remember a person who was totally turned off by God, and almost to the point of being a mocker. That was written how many years ago? It doesn't pertain to us. Just that whole attitude like that. And I remember feeling, how in the world will you ever get this person to see that this is relevant today? And just almost mocking Christianity as old news, or that was for then, kind of just that whole thing. But I remember that I decided that I needed to be kind to this person and again control my tongue. Don't come back with words that just put gasoline on the fire, but learn to calm yourself. And I remember praying, just inside of me, I'm praying and saying, God, give me wisdom. How in the world do I deal with this? Because I can't argue it, because I will never win. And it's the same way with the rebel, learning to control my tongue. Well, that mocker actually, at a later date, allowed me to pray with him. And so again, learning how to deal with that. And I do think so often it's the tongue that gets in the way. It's the tongue.
Yeah.
It's what we say, the way we say it. And we can belittle people because, somebody who is a mocker or a fool, we can belittle them because of how they're acting.
Yeah.
And we take away any value that they have.
Yeah, and I do think that's important, whoever you're dealing with, to have that respect, to listen, to allow them to speak. And they have the right to say, to think. I mean, that's a God-given right to have a choice in what you do. Now, it may be leading them down a path we don't want to see them on, but we have to respect them as as someone that God has created. It's a soul that God loves dearly. And so if you have to take that approach, or you'll be in a lot of fights.
Yeah, you will. And I think also, when you think about this, it's like, why is that person in my life? Why did God put that person in my life? Couldn't you put it in somebody else's life and let somebody else deal with this?
Well, usually it's to teach me something. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Well, and it is. It's true. It's because we also learn from that person, but we may be the person that can turn things around because our attitude is right. And we're putting effort into understanding the person, and we're putting effort into not creating a fight. Taking it, a lot of times it takes time. It takes time. You have to build that relationship. It's one block at a time. You build the relationship so that when the need arises and all of a sudden somebody needs prayer, they know who to come to.
I also think that the way of humility is, a good way to go when somebody is, coming against or rebelling against something that, we desire as leaders, or we're trying to, make a path and somebody doesn't want to go that way. Sometimes you just have to release them and take the way of humility and say, well, I might be wrong, but, let's part as friends.
Boy, right there's some good words. I might be wrong. Because, again, if we sometimes end up being this person, that we maybe rebel, maybe I could be wrong would be good words to say.
Well, and I've had people come back later. Like you said, time passes, and maybe when they were in that situation and they were in that rebellious state or mocking state or whatever, that they were at a different place in life, but maybe they gained more understanding and come back. I've had people come back and say, I'm so sorry. And I've gone to people and said, I'm so sorry. I was at a different place. My thinking.
Didn't understand.
I didn't understand. Yeah. I was just looking up Psalm 1. There's God talks about these people. This is in the Message, so it's a little different. In the NIV, it says, "Blessed are those that do this and that. But in Psalm 1 in the Message, it says, how well God must like you. You don't hang out at Sin's Saloon. You don't slink around along Dead End Road. You don't go to Smart Mouth College. So those are the people we're talking about. Blessed are those in the NIV. It says that don't sit in the seat of mockers, that don't do this. But then he does tell us what to do. He said, instead, you thrill to God's word. You chew on scripture day and night. You're a tree replanted in Eden, bearing fresh fruit every month, never dropping a leaf, always in blossom. And I think that's if we're looking for something that will, how to combat it, is, the word has a lot to say about this, then keeping that in our hearts. And that's a challenge for me, just to go back. It's easier to sometimes write someone off, like you said, or avoid them than trying to understand. Or once we've tried to understand, be like, I don't know what to do. But God says, hey, we're not to take up residence with those people, but take up residence in his word, and that'll help guide our relationships.
There's another sentence in here that I just happened to catch here. It says, sometimes all they want is to be appreciated or recognized. And, everybody wants to be recognized for something. And sometimes if we just take time to recognize something positive in a person, it brings out more positive in the person. There's more that will come from that. And I just want to real quickly touch on these 4 basic needs. Carol, do you want to just read over those real quick?
I would love to. Number 1, to be loved and appreciated, to experience a sense of achievement or self-worth, to have a sense of belonging, and to feel secure.
Those are needs every one of us has. The fool has those needs. I have those needs. You have those needs. Those are things everybody needs. And a lot of times these people will be in our lives, and we have the opportunity to love them or to show them appreciation. We have a chance to compliment them on something so that they feel like they have achieved something. And sometimes that's all a person needs, is they just need to know that someone appreciates or sees something good about them. And I think oftentimes these people that we talked about, the fools, the mockers, the rebels, the lazy, they know that's who they are. And sometimes it's because other people have told them that's who they are. And so when we can turn around and we can say, this person really just needs to feel appreciated. And, sometimes when a person is appreciated, it changes who they are. And so then also a sense of belonging. Everybody wants to belong to someone, they want to have a sense of belonging somewhere and to feel secure. Because when you don't feel secure, it's easy to become one of these people. So these are all things that are very important for us. So take time to understand people and understand that they have a story. Get to know the person and get to understand why they are the way they are, or why they think the way they think. Because they're in your life for a reason. God could have put them in somebody else's life, but they're in your life for a reason. God has given you an opportunity to understand that person and to speak life into them. So I think it's important.
Awesome advice for all of us. And I think that's the perspective that we need to really keep in the forefront as we go through life, whether that's with family, in the workplace, people on the street, people on social media. I mean, wherever that is, to remember that whoever the person across from us is, that is a soul created by God and loved by God enough to send his only son to die for that person. And having that perspective and recognizing they have the right to make their own decisions. It's a choice that's God-given. And they can choose different from me. And I may not understand that. I may not even agree with that. But if I can listen to that, if I can maintain my own integrity and my own beliefs without berating them or putting them down or writing them off or any of those things, then there's a respect that begins to grow, and the doorway may open for you to speak.
Right, you are working your way in there that you can actually speak life into them. So, be on the lookout for those people. They're in your life, and it's a golden opportunity for you to be there for someone else in need. So that's understanding people. So tomorrow, we hope you come and join us again, because we will be looking at another leadership principle from Lared. And we hope that these are speaking into your life, whether you're a leader in business or a leader in the home. And thank you for joining us here in the Circle of Friends. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks to generous donations, this program is produced by Circle of Friends Ministries. You can write to us at P.O. Box 345, Berlin, Ohio 44610, or contact us at 330-852-0000. You've found a place to belong.